The Zulu Nation. Legacy of kings and conquerors, from a single clan to an empire that shook the foundations of southern Africa. This is the story of the Zulu, a nation forged in fire, discipline, and blood. Their warriors were unmatched, their kings were legendary, and their tactics changed warfare forever. But how did one man's vision create an unstoppable military machine? And what happened when this warrior kingdom faced the might of the British Empire? The answers lie in a saga of triumph, tragedy, and unbroken spirit. Before we dive into the epic history of the Zulu Nation, make sure to subscribe because Mr. Africa brings you the most gripping tales of empires, warriors, and legends that shaped our world. Now let's march into history. 1. The dawn of a nation, the origins of the Zulu Nation, trace back to the early 19th century. This was a pivotal period in southern Africa, a time of immense change and upheaval, but also of emergent power. It began not as a sprawling empire, but with Shaka Zulu, a figure whose name would become synonymous with military genius and nation-building. He was a charismatic and, at times, ruthless leader who, through sheer force of will and revolutionary strategy, transformed a relatively small, inconspicuous clan into a formidable and powerful kingdom that would dominate the regional landscape. Shaka's unprecedented rise came during a tumultuous era known as the Mfecane, a powerful Nguni word often translated as the crushing or scattering. This was a period of widespread chaos, intense internecine warfare, and forced migrations that swept across much of southern Africa from roughly 1815 to 1840, driven by environmental pressures, population growth, the expansion of trade networks. Various ethnic groups and chiefdoms were locked in a desperate struggle for resources and dominance. It was a crucible of conflict, and Shaka, rather than being consumed by it, masterfully exploited its dynamics to forge his own destiny. Shaka didn't just participate in this era. He profoundly revolutionized warfare itself within the region. His innovations were strategic, tactical, and technological, giving the nascent Zulu forces an overwhelming advantage over their rivals. He fundamentally changed how battles were fought. He famously introduced the Ikwa, a short, broad-bladed stabbing spear, named for the sound it made as it was withdrawn from a body. This replaced the longer throwing spears common at the time, transforming combat from distant skirmishes into brutal, close-quarters engagements, maximizing casualties and psychological impact. Furthermore, he developed the ingenious buffalo horn formation, an iconic military tactic where the main body of warriors, the chest, attacked head-on, while two flanking horns quickly encircled the enemy, cutting off their escape routes and trapping them. This strategy was executed with precision and speed, often leading to total annihilation of the opposing forces. Finally, he built a disciplined, highly trained, and professional army capable of rapid strategic strikes and sustained campaigns. Warriors were subjected to rigorous training, often fighting barefoot to harden their feet, and were instilled with an unwavering loyalty to Shaka and the Zulu cause. Promotions were based on merit and bravery, not birthright. His military genius, combined with his centralized authority and strict discipline, forged the Zulu into a dominant force, unparalleled in their region. They swept through rivals, absorbing conquered populations into their kingdom or displacing them, thereby profoundly reshaping the political and demographic landscape of southern Africa forever. Shaka Zulu's vision transformed a mere clan into a formidable nation, etching its name into history through the might of its warriors and the brilliance of its king. 2. The Warrior Code and Society. Zulu Society. Forged in the crucible of the Mfecane and shaped by Shaka's reforms, was intrinsically and deeply rooted in a sophisticated warrior culture. This wasn't merely a militaristic veneer. It was the very fabric of their social structure, their identity, and their daily lives. The life of a Zulu male, from childhood to old age, was defined by a progression through warrior-based roles, instilling a profound sense of duty, discipline, and communal responsibility. Boys underwent rigorous training from a remarkably young age, often as early as 6 or 7 years old. Their play was often a form of preparation for battle, practicing with miniature shields and spears. As they grew older, this training intensified, becoming a grueling regimen of physical conditioning, tactical drills, and mental fortitude. They learned not just how to fight with the Ikwa and shield, but also how to survive in the harsh South African wilderness, how to track, hunt, and endure hardship. Crucially, they were taught absolute obedience and how to serve the king and the collective good of the Zulu state, placing the needs of the nation above individual desires. Central to this warrior society was the age grade system, sophisticated social and military structure that organized men into distinct regiments, known as amabutho, singular rebutho. All boys born within a certain period would belong to the same age grade. Upon reaching adolescence, typically around 16 to 18 years old, these young men would be officially conscripted into an ibutho, forming cohesive military units that lived and trained together in specialized military kraals, ikonda. Each ibutho had its own distinctive shield patterns, regalia, and war chants. Their lives were dedicated to the state, and marriage was typically forbidden until the king granted permission, usually after a successful military campaign. This system ensured a constant supply of highly disciplined and battle-hardened warriors ready to be deployed at the king's command. Loyalty to the king and tribe was absolute and unquestioning. This unwavering devotion was ingrained through ritual, communal living, and the shared experience of military service. Disobedience or cowardice was met with severe, often fatal, punishment, reinforcing the iron discipline that characterized the Zulu army. Courage, discipline, and honor were not mere virtues. They were the bedrock of the Zulu ethos, defining every aspect of male identity and social standing. A man's worth was often measured by his bravery in battle and his unwavering commitment to his regiment and his king. Yet it is crucial to understand that the Zulu were far more than just warriors. While their military prowess often dominates historical narratives, their society was rich and multifaceted. They were skilled farmers, cultivating crops like maize, sorghum, and various vegetables, which provided the sustenance for their large population. Their deep connection to the land was evident in their agricultural practices and seasonal rituals. They were also masterful cattle herders, with cattle playing a central role in their economy, social status, and spiritual beliefs. Livestock was a symbol of wealth, a medium of exchange, and a vital source of food and hides. Beyond these practical skills, the Zulu were also accomplished artisans, producing intricate beadwork, pottery, and expertly crafted weapons and tools. Their vibrant culture, rich in oral tradition, song, and dance, complemented their formidable military strength, painting a picture of a complex and thriving society where every individual played a role in the collective. Strength of the nation. 3. Shaka's legacy and controversy. Shaka Zulu's reign, though relatively short, from roughly 1816 to 1828, was as brutal as it was transformative. His unparalleled military innovations and his ruthless centralization of power undeniably forged a powerful and unified Zulu kingdom, but they came at a tremendous cost. His methods were often exceedingly harsh, driven by a singular vision of absolute control and military supremacy. His strict laws and unyielding discipline permeated every aspect of Zulu life. Any perceived disloyalty, insubordination, or failure to perform one's duty, particularly within the military, was met with swift and often summary execution. This iron-fisted rule, while creating an incredibly effective fighting force, also fostered an atmosphere of fear and resentment among some of his own people, and, of course, among his conquered neighbors. Shaka's relentless military campaigns extended the Zulu sphere of influence far and wide, absorbing vast territories and subjugating numerous clans. While this expanded the Zulu kingdom's wealth and manpower, also generated countless enemies and led to widespread displacement and devastation across the region. The Mfecane, already a period of intense conflict, was arguably intensified and prolonged by the sheer scale and effectiveness of Shaka's military machine. His strategy was often total war, aiming not just for victory but for the complete political and social obliteration of his opponents. The centralization of power under Shaka was absolute. He stripped regional chiefs of their traditional authority, placing military commanders loyal only to him in positions of power. All land, resources, and military decisions ultimately rested with the king. This strong centralized state was unprecedented in the region and was a key factor in Zulu's success. But it also meant that dissent, even within his own family, was considered a direct threat to the stability of the kingdom. This environment of both awe-inspiring power and terrifying ruthlessness ultimately created internal enemies. Shaka had alienated many, including members of his own royal family. Through his authoritarian rule, his relentless pursuit of military campaigns, and some historians suggest a growing paranoia in his later years. In 1828, during a period of deep mourning for his mother, Nandi, and following a particularly brutal military campaign, Shaka was assassinated by his two half-brothers, Dingan and Malangina, with the alleged complicity of his personal attendant, Mabopa. This dramatic patricide brought an abrupt end to his 13-year rule, forever altering the trajectory of the Zulu kingdom. However, Shaka's legacy, despite the controversy surrounding his brutal methods and violent end, undeniably endured. His military reforms, his administrative structures, and the very concept of a unified Zulu nation were deeply embedded. He had laid the foundation for Zulu strength, creating a formidable state that would continue to challenge colonial powers for decades to come. His successor Dingan, who seized the throne after the assassination, faced the immediate challenge of solidifying his rule while contending with the formidable legacy of his brother. Dingan's rule saw significant conflicts with the Voortrekkers, Dutch-speaking settlers of European descent who were migrating inland from the Cape Colony in what became known as the Great Trek. These encounters were often violent and characterized by mutual misunderstanding and competition for land. This era culminated in devastating clashes, such as the infamous Battle of Blood River in 1838. At this battle, a small group of Voortrekkers, utilizing firearms and wagons in a laager formation, inflicted a catastrophic defeat on a much larger Zulu army. This defeat, while a temporary setback, underscored the growing threat posed by technologically superior European powers, foreshadowing the greater conflicts to come and marking a significant turning point in the struggle for control over the rich lands of southern Africa. Shaka's dream of an unassailable Zulu kingdom would soon face its ultimate test against a far more technologically advanced adversary. 4. The Anglo-Zulu War, the year 1879, marked a monumental and tragic turning point in the history of the Zulu Nation. The Anglo-Zulu War. This conflict represented the ultimate clash between two vastly different powers: the fiercely independent, militarily formidable Zulu kingdom and the technologically superior, expansionist British Empire. It was a confrontation driven by British colonial ambitions, specifically their desire to establish a confederation of states in southern Africa, which necessitated the subjugation of the powerful Zulu state. Despite attempts at diplomatic resolution, the British ultimately issued an ultimatum to the Zulu king, Setshwayo, which was designed to be impossible to accept, effectively forcing a war. The British, under the command of Lord Chelmsford, invaded Zululand in January 1879, confident in their advanced weaponry and imperial might. However, they gravely underestimated the discipline, bravery, and tactical brilliance of the Zulu army. What followed was one of the most astonishing upsets in colonial warfare. At the Battle of Azendawana, fought on January 22, 1879, the Zulu achieved a stunning and utterly devastating victory against a detached column of the British invasion force. Despite possessing only traditional weapons, the Ikwa shields and a few antiquated firearms, the Zulu impis, regiments, under the overall command of Nanchingwayo, Kamaholi, Koza, and Mavomengwana, Kandola and Tuli, executed the classic buffalo horn formation with devastating precision. They utterly overwhelmed the British forces, who were poorly deployed and complacent. The battle resulted in the near-total annihilation of the British column. Over 1,300 British soldiers and their colonial allies fell, including their commanders. The Redcoats, once thought invincible, were cut down by the sheer ferocity and overwhelming numbers of the Zulu warriors. Azendawana was a humiliating defeat for the British Empire, a shockwave that reverberated back to London and forced a complete revaluation of their military strategy in Africa. It remains one of the most significant defeats for a modern European army at the hands of an indigenous force. However, despite this spectacular initial victory, the war ultimately ended in defeat for the Zulu. The British, reeling from Azendawana, rapidly dispatched massive reinforcements from across their empire, bringing to bear the full might of their industrial and military prowess. The sheer numerical superiority of the British, combined with their overwhelmingly advanced superior technology, including modern Martini-Henry rifles, artillery pieces, and Gatling guns, eventually proved insurmountable for the Zulu. The subsequent battles, such as Rorke's Drift, where a small British garrison famously held off a much larger Zulu force in a desperate rearguard action immediately after Isandlwana, and the decisive Battle of Ulundi, where the main Zulu army was finally crushed by concentrated British firepower, slowly eroded Zulu strength and manpower. The war's conclusion in July 1879, with the capture of King Cetshwayo, had profound and devastating consequences for the Zulu Nation. The conflict fractured the kingdom, which was then divided by the British into 13 smaller, often rivaled chiefdoms. This deliberate fragmentation aimed to prevent any future resurgence of centralized Zulu power. This action directly led to British colonial control over Zululand, which was eventually annexed into the colony of Natal. The war thus led to the almost complete dismantling of Zulu sovereignty, ending their era as an independent, self-governing power, and forcing them into a new, subordinate reality under British imperial rule. The Anglo-Zulu War, therefore, stands as a stark testament to Zulu courage in the face of overwhelming odds, but also as a tragic chapter in their struggle for self-determination against the relentless tide of colonialism. 5. Culture, tradition, and revival. Despite the profound and destructive pressures of colonial rule, the dismantling of their kingdom, the subsequent imposition of apartheid, the Zulu people displayed an extraordinary resilience. They adamantly preserved their cultural identity, ensuring that the essence of what it meant to be Zulu would survive the darkest periods of their history. This enduring spirit is a testament to the deep roots of their traditions, which continued to thrive, often in defiance of external forces. Their vibrant traditions live on through a rich tapestry of practices and artistic expressions that continue to be celebrated today. These include traditional dances and songs, which are not merely performances but living narratives that convey historical events, celebrate victories, express emotions, and mark rites of passage. The powerful stomping of the Ngoma dance, the intricate footwork, and the rhythmic chants are deeply interwoven with their history and communal spirit, with call and response patterns and harmonies resonating with a deep sense of identity and belonging. Furthermore, beadwork and clothing symbolism form another intricate layer of Zulu culture. Beyond mere adornment, Zulu beadwork is a sophisticated visual language, with specific colors and patterns conveying messages about status, age, marital state, and even emotional intentions. Each bead, each design, tells a story, making traditional attire a profound expression of identity and communication within the community. Ceremonies also play a vital role in upholding traditional values and connecting generations. Among the most well-known is the reed dance Umkhosi Wumlanga, annual ceremony where thousands of unmarried young women present reeds to the Zulu king. This ceremony serves to promote purity, respect for tradition, and unity among young women, while also celebrating their cultural heritage and reinforcing their connection to the monarchy. Other ceremonies mark important life events like birth, initiation, and marriage, each imbued with specific rituals and significance. Finally, oral storytelling and praise poetry, Izibongo, are critical components of Zulu intellectual and historical tradition. Before written records, history, wisdom, the deeds of kings and heroes were meticulously preserved and transmitted through generations via compelling oral narratives and dramatic praise poetry. The Mbanji, or praise poet, plays a crucial role in public life, articulating the virtues and achievements of leaders, often with improvisational skill and powerful oratory. These traditions keep the past alive, connecting contemporary Zulu people to their ancestors and their rich heritage. Today, millions of Zulu people, constituting the largest ethnic group in South Africa, actively celebrate their heritage with immense pride. They do so while simultaneously navigating the complexities of modern South Africa, a nation still grappling with its post-apartheid identity. The cultural practices of the Zulu are not static relics of the past. They are dynamic, evolving, and deeply cherished aspects of a living, breathing culture that continues to adapt, innovate, and contribute to the rich diversity of the Rainbow Nation. Their resilience in preserving these traditions despite centuries of external pressure, stands as a powerful testament to the strength and enduring spirit of the Zulu identity. 6. The Zulu Nation today. In contemporary South Africa, the Zulu people stand as a formidable and vital cultural force, not merely a historical footnote, but a vibrant presence in politics, arts, and society. They are the largest ethnic group in South Africa, the population exceeding 12 million people, primarily concentrated in the KwaZulu-Natal province, which proudly bears the name of their ancestral land. Their cultural footprint extends far beyond this region, influencing the national identity and tapestry of modern South Africa. The institution of the Zulu monarchy, though no longer holding political power in the modern democratic state, remains a deeply revered and symbolically potent entity. Figures like King Goodwill Zwelithini Kebeka Zulu played an instrumental role in championing cultural pride and preserving traditional values for over 5 decades. Until his death in 2021, King Zwelithini served as a unifying figure for the Zulu people, advocating for the recognition and respect of Zulu customs. Language is Zulu, one of South Africa's 11 official languages, and heritage. His reign saw a revitalization of traditional ceremonies and a renewed emphasis on cultural education, ensuring that the legacy of the Zulu kings continued to inspire future generations. His passing marked a moment of profound national mourning and initiated a complex but ultimately resolved succession process for the Zulu throne. The enduring legacy of the Zulu Nation permeates various aspects of contemporary culture, both within South Africa and on the global stage. Their history of powerful kings, formidable warriors, and rich traditions has served as a fertile ground for artistic inspiration. Music draws heavily from Zulu rhythms, harmonies, and vocal styles. Genres like isikhethemia, famously popularized by Ladysmith Black Mambazo, have brought traditional Zulu a cappella singing to international renown. Contemporary South African music, across various genres, often incorporates elements of Zulu folk music, language, and storytelling. Film and television frequently explore themes from Zulu history and modern Zulu life. Epic historical dramas recount the Anglo-Zulu War or the life of Shaka Zulu, bringing these pivotal moments to global audiences. Modern narratives explore the challenges and triumphs of Zulu people navigating a post-apartheid society, showcasing their resilience and adaptability. Literature continues to be enriched by Zulu oral traditions and contemporary narratives. Zulu praise poetry remains a powerful art form. And isiZulu literature explores a diverse range of themes from historical epics to modern social commentaries. Visual arts and fashion are also deeply influenced by Zulu aesthetics, particularly in the use of vibrant colors, intricate patterns, and symbolic beadwork, which find their way into modern designs and global art exhibitions. Beyond the arts, the Zulu have a significant presence in politics, contributing to the democratic discourse and leadership of South Africa. Their language, isiZulu, is spoken by more people than any other indigenous language in the country, playing a crucial role in national communication and cultural preservation. The Zulu ethos of strength, community, and respect for heritage continues to inspire individuals and communities, demonstrating that the legacy of kings and conquerors is not confined to history books, but is a living, breathing force that continues to shape a continent's destiny. The Zulu Nation stands as a vibrant example of how a rich past can powerfully inform a dynamic present and future. The Zulu Empire may have fallen, but its spirit never died. Today, their culture thrives, their language echoes across South Africa, and their warriors' legacy lives on. But one question remains. What if Shaka had lived longer? Could the Zulu have resisted colonialism? Or was their fate sealed by the unstoppable tide of history? If you think this story was epic, wait until our next deep dive into Africa's greatest kingdoms. Hit like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe because history isn't just the past, it's alive.